CagedInsider.com here with the pitmaster, John Hackleman.
How you doing?
John, I want to thank you for taking the time to do an interview with us.
No problem.
I have a few questions. We're here at an amateur and a pro. It's a pro-am event here in San Diego. Talk about the pros and amateurs. What the experience the amateurs get in getting to fight all these fights and not have them go on the record, and the process they get to go through.
Well, the state came up with a pretty good program, the Camo program. It will be very good. Right now, it's pretty good, but it's definitely probably one of the best ones they have in the country. If you talk to some people around the country, they have no amateur regulations or even amateur shows, and it's outlawed, and they just can't fight. They have to go to different states. So I think California's on the right track in doing it, and what it does is it gives the young fighters a chance to, after they get their smokers out of the way, then they decide that they want to go pursue it. They don't have to jump right into the pro ranks. They have something in between the smokers and the pros. They can actually go to sanctioned amateur fights, Camo. It's a lot like boxing. You have smokers, then you have, amateur boxing, to a much higher level, then you have pro. So it bridges the gap between the smokers and the pros and gives the fighters a chance to not only get better and more experience, decide if this is what they really want to do.
You as a trainer, you have some say in your fighters that train at your gym as into, they're amateurs and say they want to take a fight as a pro. What's your recommendation for that? At what point in their career, or is it, what do you see in a fighter that tells you, hey, it's time, let's go pro?
Yeah, that's a hard one, but I have all the say. So no matter what they say, if I don't think they're ready, they're not going to go. And if I think they are ready and they don't want to go, then I'll never push them to go. So, because if I think they're ready, but they don't think they are, then they're really not. So, it's their readiness more than anything. If they lost all of their amateur fights, or a majority of them, and then they wanted to go pro, I would sit down and talk to them and see if that's what they really want to do. If they do, as long as they're not getting hurt too bad, then I would let them pursue that, because you only live once, and there's nothing worse than growing old like me and looking back and regretting things. I don't have too many regrets, and I'm really happy about that. But there's a lot of people that grow up and grow older and think, I should have done this, I should have fought pro. Just one pro fight, would mean the difference in somebody's life. So that's how I feel about that.
You say, one pro fight makes a big difference. It makes a big difference that you can actually say you did it and you know what you're talking about, as opposed to...
Yeah, it's like when you're older and you look back at your life, there's so many things that shoulda, woulda, coulda, or I didn't do this, I didn't have the balls to do it, or I should have just jumped in and did it. You have one pro fight, maybe you love it, maybe you didn't, but at least you can always tell your grandkids, hey, I fought pro. I was a professional fighter. And, that's a big deal for a lot of people. Not all. A lot are more secure and have other things. But for some guys, that means a lot to say, I fought pro. They don't have to tell them that they only had one pro fight, but I was a pro fighter one time, and that means a lot for a guy's alpha male ego.
Do these amateur events separate the true fighters from the, I guess if you want to call them the fake fighters?
Yeah. The smokers are, smokers. They'll always be. They've been smokers since I was a kid, and they're just basically really low level. Two guys basically on the street corner fighting, and they just happen to be in a ring, so they call it a smoker. These are sanctioned, and you're fighting another guy that's sanctioned. They're not going to let a guy that's 0-10 fight a guy that's 10-0. The commission won't allow it, so you have to fight someone that's, capable and comparable to you. So it does, it does help you to decide real quick, do I want to take that next leap?
Do you have any fighters at your gym that we should be on the lookout for that are up-and-comers?
Well, yeah, we got Mike Gahan fighting tonight. He's undefeated as a pro and an amateur, and he's a really good-looking kid. His conditioning is off the hook, and he's a new breed fighter that didn't start with wrestling or striking. He just started at our gym, so he's pretty well versed at all equally. In fact, when I took him over to American Top Team in Florida, all the wrestling guys over there asked him what college he wrestled for. He never wrestled in high school or anything, so he's a really talented guy. Then there's Preston Sharp and Cruz Gomez. They're old school guys that have been fighting for a long time. They've had their ups and downs. They're both on winning streaks right now, and just MMA, anything can happen. Records aren't padded like boxing, 20-0. Nobody's that, So, they've had their ups and downs, but when you're up, and they're fighting as well. So you got to watch out for them because anything can happen in an MMA fight.